When I was about 10 years old, my mom taught me a lesson. It was an important lesson. It was the summer of 1963. I was about 10 years old. And because it was the summer, it's hot, and I'm sitting outside. If you remember our house on Valencia, the one with the one bathroom. I'm sitting there, and Tim Jones, my next door neighbor, and I get in an argument. I'm 10, he's 10. We start cussing at each other. And we started using the F word, right? 4 letters. And I don't mean full I, okay? Well, anyway, we split up, and this was back when we didn't have fences between the houses, okay? There was no, so it's like, whose property, we played, anyway. Let's keep going with the rest of the story. So the Joneses had 3 kids. Tim Jones, my grade, and 2 other kids, okay? We had 7. We both had 1 bathroom. Their parents worked at Kaiser Steel. Mom and Dad worked at Kaiser Steel. Our dad did. So the short version was they had a lot more money than we did. And we couldn't keep up with the Joneses. Literally true. We had so many of those jokes between us. He didn't like it when I told him those jokes. But we were the poor ones. Well, anyway, as I'm cussing, get done, I come to the front door, and my mom's there. She looks at me and she goes, I heard every word you said. I go, oh? She goes, yes, and you are an embarrassment to the family. I don't ever want to hear you say those words again. And I looked up and I go, Mom, I'm just a kid, She goes, that doesn't matter. I gotta read this. She said, when you use those words, you're an embarrassment to the family. I don't ever want to hear you say that again. And I'm like, whoa, I'm sitting back. She says, I said, Mom, I'm just a kid. She said, it doesn't matter. You're the patriarch of the family. And I thought about it. What the hell is a patriarch? I go in and get the dictionary. And I found out what a patriarch was. And in short, after I looked it up, I realized Mom's words weren't about cussing. They were about responsibility. And that's a lesson that, as I watch these things, so many things she was teaching to other people, that affected my destiny, okay? I didn't know it at the time. We don't know it at the time when things affect us. But that affected me big. And that's part of what made it possible for all of us to be here tonight. Because Sherry and I, and some others, did things so you could be here and appreciate what Mom gave you. I hope today is a reminder of that. And how Mom's going to continue to live in our heart. Okay? That's all I have for the eulogy today, because it's about Mom. I can make more jokes. I can tell you about hard times, but I'm telling you about Mom. She gave things to everybody in this room. Even the caretakers, because they tell me that, okay? So that's about the end of what I have to say today. We are going to have dessert here shortly. But I want to make sure to get one of the caretakers to have something to say before we have dessert, because they have to go to work. They have a job. Okay?
Well, hi. My name is Anna, and I'm part of the Comfort Home caregivers. This is Herminia, Carmen, and Rosa. We took care of Patty, Patricia. We took care of her. She was very special. The moment she came into our house, we knew she was going to be the leader. We need a leader at the table for the meal times to tell everybody what to do, and she was. And now I know why. She told everybody, get organized, put your napkin on, be ready at the table. And she was the happy soul of the house. We have a lot of experience, taking care of Valerie, 20 plus years, I tell you. And she was very, very special. And I am not saying it because this is the day for her, but it's because she was very special. The moment we met her, she taught us many things. And one of them, and this is very big for us, is the love she had for her family. All of us knew, and all of us know, that her family came first for everything. And that is one thing we can tell you. she loved her family. And we could tell her family was very close. Unfortunately, we don't see that very often. We don't see our residents' families coming as often you guys did it. And it is sad, yes, but you guys make the difference. Because when one comes to visit, it's a visit for all the other residents, that they don't get to have a person coming to visit them. And that made you, all the family, very special. And yes, there's a lot of memories about her. The bell. Who has the bell? Yeah, here's the bell. And she made sure everyone heard the bell, of course. And even her roommates, you know, she had a line of roommates right there. And one of them did not use a bell, he whistled. And when he whistled, she ring. Okay, honey, what is going on with Jimmy? No, I ring the bell for him. So it was not only for her, it was for him, for all of the others. Coming to the table, it was so much fun. Coming to the table to have their meals. She mostly did dinner time at the later days because she was, you know, weak at times and all that. And when she come to the table to have dinner, we made sure that everything was organized and set, because if not, she'll, you know, say something. and we played music. And of course she was singing for everybody. Made everyone sing in the room, because that was her. So yes, she was very special. She will be remembered. She will be remembered with lots of love. The way she was, her smile. Look at pictures. We knew her smile. We knew the happy days. We knew not her so happy days. And she was happy. She was happy where she was. She loved her room. She made sure everyone knew her room. And she will be remembered with lots of love. Thank you so much. Thank you for making, you know, us part of this. This is very special.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sherry. Yeah.
She was a very giving person. As we grew up at Redwood School, right down the block, every one of us kids, which 7 of them in 7 years, she would be a room mother to every one of us 1 year. And the next year she'd be a room mother for another. Then she became the president of the PTA, and she was a room mother for the whole school. She wasn't getting paid for these things. She did it out of the kindness of her heart. Her mom, your grandmother was a very giving person. She cared, and she was very strong. My mom, besides being strong, she thought she was always right, which most of the time she was. But she always tried to give people, us kids, good information. She didn't give us garbage information. She tried to teach us, and it helped a lot. My mom, I've lost my best friend this hard, but my family member, because I could tell my mom that mom would listen. And like I said, sometimes give me bad information, but most of the time it was good, and I'd listen to her. And I just want to know, besides that, every meal, somebody's birthday was special, Christmas was special, Thanksgiving, and she would cook not just for those special meals, but literally out of 9 people in the family, 3 meals. That's 27 meals a day she cooks and made every day of her life for 20-some years till we got out of the house. My mom just was a go, go, go. And she was there for us. She was there for me, especially because when I broke my back. I thought life was over. I thought it was over, but it wasn't. And Mom was the one that rocked me out of that. Said, you got to do this. And I did. So mom was my very special, just my mom. She was great. That's what I have to say about Mom.
For this time next year, it would be 60 years I met your mother. And you guys did. So my father and their mother, your brother and sister, and my father was in the Navy, so every 3 years we moved. So I didn't see them, I didn't meet them for the first time, and I think I was 7, because we had just gotten back from Italy. And I think Kathy, were you 10 or something?
Yeah.
You were 10. So I remember the first time we went to my grandparents' house, and it was in the hills of West Virginia. And this house was really a beautiful house. It was brick, and it was built by my father, their father, my grandfather, and I don't know, anybody else? But anyway, it was a big, beautiful house, and it was, you had to go up this big winding road to get there, and it was kind of scary because if you looked over here, you could see that, oh God, keep it on the road, you know, because you were going down. But anyway, my grandfather used to grow Christmas trees, and he sold Christmas trees, and he had a pond on his land. Well, getting back to when we first met them, we were all asleep in bed. It was probably 2 or 3 in the morning, and all of a sudden we hear somebody waking us up at 2 or 3 in the morning. And so my aunt and uncle and all 7 of their children had arrived, and she came up to wake us up to let us know that she was there. So when she turned the light on at 2 or 3 in the morning, we said, "Aunt Patty!" And she just went viral. She's like, "Oh my God, they called me Aunt Patty!" She was so excited, you know. And this was 60 years ago, and I remember that like yesterday because she always made us feel special. Always, always. And we were raised very strictly. Okay, my father was very strict. But we would go to their house, and it was like so much fun. You know? Yeah. They do us every day, so a free for all, you know. There were like, if I had to put in a phrase, I'd say there were so many moving parts. Well, to be honest, there were 7 moving parts. There was never a dull moment, and we always felt so welcome with my aunt. I don't think I ever heard a cross word out of her. She was always smiling. She was always happy to see me. She made me feel so special as a kid growing up, you know. And towards the end, when I would see her, it was kind of cute because I would always say, I'd go up to her and I'd give her a hug, and she'd give me the best hug in the world, you know, and she'd give me a kiss. And then I'd say, "Oh, it's my favorite aunt." And then we'd both laugh. And then she would say, and then I'd say, "Oh, by the way, you're my only aunt." And then we'd both just roar because we thought that was cute. But she was always doing for everyone else. And she maybe they didn't have a lot of money, but I'm telling you, this family had a lot in love. A lot in love. So that was very special to me, and I just wanted to share that with everybody, how my aunt made my life very nice.
Thank you.
I've been hearing. So many of you may not know this, but it was Patty who played matchmaker for PJ and I.
Yay, Patty.
I was this 15-year-old high school student, and the first time I saw PJ, he was moving the Nagy's. That's the house that they bought on Grace. They were moving the Nagy's heavy furniture into a mobile home. And I was like, oh my God. I never believed, by the way, in love at first sight, but it was like an oh my God moment. That's the man I'm going to marry.
Of course. John Denver.
Exactly, because he looked just like John Denver to me.
Yep.
And I thought, oh, that's it. He still might be in heart. So it's like, okay, how can I arrange for this college kid to ask me out? So I went to my new best friend, Kathy, who was the sister of 6 boys. And I said, hey, Kathy, do you think you could set me up with PJ? And she said, no. I hate PJ. Yeah. Well, oldest.
I grew to love him. I grew to love him, okay?
brother and only daughter, made for clashing.
It's a college kid.
So I thought, well, I wonder who could set us up. Maybe Patty. So I said, Patty, there's this high school dance, and I know it sounds crazy, but I'd really like to go with PJ. And it's a Sadie Hawkins dance, so I get to ask the boy. So do you think you could arrange something for us so that I can talk to him? And she just looked at me and said, no problem. And I was like, yes. So PJ came home for the weekend from UCR, and he said, Mom, do you know anybody who plays guitar? I need to borrow a guitar chord handbook. And Patty said, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. Her name is Sherry. She's friends with Kathy, and she lives just down the street. So you can call her, and I'm sure she would be happy to bring you the book. So I got a call, and I'm like going, oh, be still my beating heart. Yes, absolutely, I have a guitar chord book, and I'll bring it right over to you. So there I was, carrying the guitar chord book, and I said, this is really a great book. It has not only the regular standard chords, but bar chords that you can make. It talks about which ones you can transition, and it has the fingerings and even pictures to show you how to hold your fingers. He said, thanks. Man of little words, right? Thanks. And so I said, you know, by the way, there's a Sadie Hawkins dance at Bohai, and I was wondering if you would like to go with me. And he looked at me and said, yeah. And I said, okay, it's on this date, this time, and I'll give you more details as we get closer to the date. The detail was the dance was canceled. Oh, no. Now what to do? It was like the perfect plan set in motion, and then boom, broken. So I told him, I said, I'm not going to believe this. The dance was canceled. And he goes, no problem. We'll go to the beach on March 16th.
I was a young manager coming on the scene, and Patty knew everything. And for those of you that years ago they had a wheel room, and they sat in the one big room, and they'd flip the thing around, and you'd yell out some doctor's name, and you'd take the book and write the appointment down. Patty graduated from that. She worked in a corner, and it was called the garbage desk. And that meant you got every problem. And you got those problem people that are calling all the time, they're unhappy. And every morning I would take a stack of charts and I'd say, look down, Patty, I need you to call these people. Why me? I said, because you can make them happy. Other recollections of your mom was their visits to Hank and Marianne Hartline. They lived in Kingman, Arizona, and they came for their appointments. All the various appointments, not just one. They wanted 4 and 5, and could you coordinate it, please, on one day? And just call them, and they'll be able to come down. I can remember many times them coming, and then I'd, after work, go and visit, and they were playing cards. 4 of them playing cards at the table. Also remember your mom going with Mary Ann, your mom was the driver to Laughlin. Okay, and Mary Ann was going to party and sleep while your mom, Patty, drove to Laughlin. And then that was their summer home. They had the room, and they used to rag on me about not knowing how to play cards. And I never learned cards in my life. I said, I'm not sure I want to learn them now. Nope. Hand and foot is what they played with 2 decks. Well, I could hardly organize 1 deck, much less 2, but I needed to drive to Laughlin, so we did. Al and I, we went out there, and up in the room we went, and they were rehearsing how I did this. I said, well, go downstairs. I'm going to be a while. So yeah, you drive to Laughlin to learn how to play cards, and then you go to the Altavia, which is a restaurant in the Flamingo. Those two queens, I would call them, would be down there about 8 o'clock at night, waiting for their dinner. And Mary Ann would be gambling all night long. Okay, and then your mom would have to get some sleep because she had to be the driver home. And I often think about that as they age, them driving now. I used to say, are you sure you want to? Oh yes, they would go. But Mary Ann would tell Patty, get the car serviced, have it checked out, make sure everything's okay so we don't get stopped in the desert. Many, many stories of those two queens, I call them, driving around Fontana, making things happen. And then when Patty went to the Dino Papavero, had the opportunity to see her there, and knew she needed to get to a better place. And thanks that she made it there. But you have to know that all the docs loved Patty. And she made great pies. And guess what? Doctors love to eat. And they would say, hey, when you make it an apple pie or whatever, because she was helping them out. They didn't want to call this person, so Patty, would you do it? And hey, when you bring in an apple pie in, every potluck, she was assigned pies. So
Should get them up before the kids got them.
yeah, so many fond memories. We had the retiree board meeting Tuesday. I shared with them about Patty, and people went around the room. Funny stories. Kaiser is a family. You have your own
You said many moving parts and stuff. Yeah, and it was a great feeling. It's best moments of my life, and you know, getting older and getting to know each other on a more like raw and real way. It was beautiful, and like you said, sometimes we don't know how something's gonna affect us. I didn't think this was gonna affect me as deeply as it had. Now I look back at those memories that I had as a kid, and they mean a lot more than I ever thought.
Thank you.
She was very proud of it. We'll get a baby to raise. That's what she thought. And she made me think it too. And so when I was pregnant with her, I was ready to deliver. I was at Kaiser Hospital. Mom was working at Kaiser Hospital. And she got news that I was down for delivery. She made it down there, boy. She was telling the doctors, now she's good. She's breech baby. She needs to have a blood transfusion. Let's get this together. She's a week late. She should have had that baby already, you know. So anyway, Christy was born. Here's the good part. Christy was born, and I was in the room. They were bringing Christy into me, Christina Kay, and I says, Mom, we're gonna call her Krista, short for Krista. And she goes, oh no, you're not. Her name's Krista, Christy. And that was that. You know, so that's why Christy got the name Christy. I wanted Krista, short for Christina. Anyway, Mom kept Christy, no problem. Overnight, she was in her element with the first grandchild. Enjoyed having all the rest of the grandchildren. I'm gonna cut real close now because there's so much I could add to what Mom did with Christy. I could have stories for a long time, but I'll keep that to me. But I do want to say, this is very important. Visited Mom often. and with Mom. There was a few times she had tears in her eyes. And she said, I just wish I got to have spend more time with my grandkids. She always regretted that she didn't have the time for her grandkids. And I just want you all to know, Grandma loved you, all of you, very much. And that was one of her only regrets, was that she didn't get to spend the time with you that she wanted to. And I want y'all to know that she loves you very much. So just know that, she might not have to spend the time with you.